Good afternoon and welcome to the Lotsa Helping Hands webinar this afternoon. This is a really special nonprofit briefing that we are hosting to share more with you about the Lotsa Helping Hands service, we want to walk you through our nonprofit program. My name is Brooks Kenny and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer and on the founding team here at Lotsa Helping Hands. We are really delighted that so many of you from across the country in different nonprofit organizations, large and small, are joining with us today to learn more about our program. We really believe, and we love the play on words, but we really believe that lots of good can come when we work together to support caregivers, and so that's why we're here today. Our agenda is, I certainly want to introduce you to our very special guests who are joining us this afternoon. We'll provide you with a brief overview of the Lotsa Helping Hands service so you understand what it's all about and how it supports caregivers. We'll also talk through the partnership program from our point of view, and then we've invited folks from the National Health Council as well as the National Family Caregivers Association to share their points of view, and then we'll wrap it up with conclusions and our thanks and questions from the group. So that's our agenda for this morning, or excuse me, this afternoon. First, I wanted to begin just by welcoming again our guest speakers. We are so fortunate to have with us today Merle Weinberg, who is the president of the National Health Council. And the National Health Council, I'm sure all of you on the line are familiar with this organization. They really work every day to promote a united voice for people with chronic disease and disabilities. And we're so delighted, Merle, to have you joining with us today to share your perspective.
Well, we really appreciate the opportunity, so thank you.
Great. And we also have Lisa Winstell, who is the Chief Operating Officer of the National Family Caregivers Association. And NFCA works every day to educate, support, empower, and speak up for the 65 million caregivers who are in our country caring for loved ones. And Lisa, as we kick off this conversation in the midst of National Family Caregivers Month this November, we're just delighted that you're able to spend time with us this afternoon.
Oh, we're very happy to have to be here today, Brooks, and just a happy National Family Caregivers Month to everybody.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you both. Okay, so moving on with our agenda, I wanted to share a little bit about the Lotsa Helping Hands service to the extent that folks are less familiar who might be joining us for the first time and are here to get to know us. Lotsa Helping Hands really was created to support caregivers. We recognize that caregivers, while there are 65 million of them across the country, and they do come in all shapes and sizes, caring for loved ones for a variety of different reasons, one of the things they have in common is that they need help. Oftentimes, caregivers tell us that they are overwhelmed not only by their caregiving duties, but also by the many offers of help they receive from their friends and their family and their loved ones. And so Lotsa Helping Hands, we do one primary thing for caregivers. We power online caring communities that really seek to help restore the health and balance to their life. And we bring them together with the volunteers in their life through private online communities that organize that daily life during times of medical crisis or caregiver exhaustion. And we're really fortunate here at Lotsa. We often get to hear from those who benefit from our service that caregivers feel the gift of that needed help, that emotional support and peace of mind. And interestingly, but perhaps not surprisingly, the volunteers in these communities often tell us how much meaning they receive from giving back to those in need. We've heard the phrase often that it takes a village to raise a child, and we believe that through helping caregivers with their daily tasks that become so challenging during their caregiving journey, that together through community, we can help the caregivers in our country. And so we often say that it takes a community to care for the caregiver. So what does that exactly mean as it relates to Lotsa Helping Hands? We know that caregivers, as overwhelmed as they often are in their journey, they're also overwhelmed by the offers of help that they receive from family, from neighbors, from friends, coworkers, people in their religious community, folks who are very earnest and well-meaning, but oftentimes are placing multiple phone calls and emails and texts and messages on Facebook. There's so many ways for us to connect these days. And they're saying to the caregiver and to the family, what can I do to help? How can I support you? And often the caregiver is really overwhelmed by those offers and not necessarily sure how to manage it. And that's where Lotsa Helping Hands comes in. We receive almost every day testimonials from people who use our service, and we have a story project on our website that you can visit to read stories of community support that are often shared by our members. And this one is a true story that I've shared many times with our audience, but this is a story about Susan, who is a successful vice president at a Fortune 500 company. And she, as many caregivers are, was swiftly thrown into a caregiving role when her mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. Her mom moved into their home a year later, and then 3 months after that, her husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. She did end up leaving her job, and she and her husband downsized, and her journeys began from there as a caregiver. And she recalled for me on the phone that she was very overwhelmed, not only by her caregiving duties, but by all of the very well-meaning, thoughtful offers of help she was getting from those circles of community that I was telling you about before. And so she herself created a Lotsa community. And I want to mention that anybody can create a community for a caregiver. It doesn't have to be the actual caregiver. It doesn't have to be the recipient. It can be a friend, a family, a neighbor, a coworker. Anyone who wants to lend a hand can actually be the person to create the private community at Lotsa Helping Hands. So what does the community include? This is a homepage of a sample community called Susan's Helping Hands. There is a help calendar for organizing tasks. There are community building features to promote emotional support, and a vital information section that provides a safe and practical way to keep track of medical records as well as financial and health information. So let me show you a little bit about the mechanics of the site. One of the first things that folks do when they create a community at Lotsa Helping Hands is they add members to join that community. And that's a very simple process. On the left, you can see there's a form where you add the first name and last name and email address of all those folks who have said, Susan, what can I do? What can I do to help you during this period of time in your life? And so you add those names and email addresses in, and then you continue on to the notification screen where you have a templated email that you all can customize for yourselves to say, we've created this community of support to help Susan. Please click on the link below and join. And we also put some automated text in there for you as well to make the sign-in process very seamless for folks when they join the community. And then people receive an email and they simply log in and create their own password. So that's the credential they use when they sign in each time to their community, their email address and password. And then they can see the tasks that the coordinator of that community has posted on the calendar. So this is an example of a large view of the help calendar. And you can see here there's meals on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. There's rides to medical appointments on Tuesdays. And you can put whatever tasks you wish into the calendar. We have some default things that are most common, like meals and rides and visits and coverage. But you can also have other things in your calendar, like childcare or a ride to a soccer practice for a young child in the family, or house cleaning if that's something that the family needs a little bit of extra help with. So there are many different ways to customize the calendar in order to post the needs that are most relevant to the family. This is a larger view of a particular activity called weekday dinners, where you can see there are notes in here that indicate the location of the activities, and that links to a Google map so people know where they're going. There are notes related to the dietary restrictions, if there are any for the family, and many of our communities have this. Especially when you're in a medical crisis, you may have particular things that aren't allowable for meals. And then there are ways that you can easily sign up. You can see that big sign up button right here, and you can sign up for that activity, and then the system sends reminders 1 month, 1 week, and 1 day in advance so that everybody remembers what they signed up for. So that is the hallmark of these communities, is this help calendar, a really simple, efficient way to post the needs that the family has, and that it's very easy to communicate out to the volunteers to let them know what tasks are available for volunteering. As I said, in addition, we have these community building features within every private community in order to promote that emotional support. So there are ways that you can share photos, updates, links to resources, comments, and you can even create custom sections within the community. So if you have somebody, as an example, is having a medical appointment and you want to get a message out to the whole community, so you don't have to necessarily call everyone that's in the community to say, Susan had a really good positive appointment today, and she's resting at home comfortably, and she would prefer not to have visitors for a few days. That's something that you can just post in the community and then email it out to everybody. So it's much easier than having to return all those phone calls. There's also a section called Well Wishes, which is what you might expect. It's a place for you to drop a line to say hello to the family, post a prayer, or just let them know that you're thinking about them. And it's a wonderful way to provide that emotional support to the family. And finally, there's a vital information section within every community. And what this is a very practical place for community coordinators and the family to keep track of important documents, from medical records to financial and health information, as well as emergency contacts. And what's great about this, and all the sections actually within the private communities, is that you can have this information available to select members within your community. So everybody, if you have a community of 100 people, but only the family only wants the immediate family members to see the financial and health information, you can turn those sections off for other members. So there are a lot of nuances which we're not going to get into in this session today, but there's many different ways that community members can customize the community based on their particular needs. And those customizations can be modified on an ongoing basis. So I think it will transition now. Just wanted to leave you thinking with some numbers. We at Lotsa Helping Hands are so proud of the number of people who are participating in our communities. And this is certainly in part to Lotsa's outreach, but we really want to emphasize it's largely due to our nonprofit partnerships as well. We're almost to 1.3 million people who are participating in Lotsa Helping Hands communities, and in fact, every 100 seconds a volunteer is signing up to help a caregiver in the last year. Almost 1.4 million meals have been delivered. You can see the stats on the left, almost 500,000 tasks related to coverage, sitting with a family or sitting with an aging neighbor as an example, as well as childcare and visits. On average, 50 people are part of every Lotsa Helping Hands community, whether it's a partner site or a generic, if you will, Lotsa Helping Hands community. So that's one person who said, I want to help this family, and I'm going to go ahead and create a community. And then 49 other people on average join that community. So they're benefiting from the resources that are part of these communities, as well as they're signing up to help and participate. So let me tell you a little bit about our partnership program now that you have a baseline understanding of what the service is all about. Our partnership program with nonprofits has really been part of Lotsa Helping Hands since our inception, and we're really proud of that program because we believe, as I said at the beginning, what we do here at Lotsa Helping Hands is we connect caregivers and volunteers through online communities. But we are not the experts in the variety of causes and health challenges that people face. We really look to the nonprofit sector. You all are the experts. You all know how to talk about the various challenges that your constituents have. You know how to point them to the right resources. And so to us, it's really the perfect marriage between Lotsa and our nonprofit partners. It's a way for us to collaborate with you in order to not only make sure that your constituents have access to the Lotsa Helping Hands service, But in addition, in our communities where we have partnerships, as you see here, we also display resources from each of these nonprofit organizations inside our community. So if somebody is struggling with an Alzheimer's disease diagnosis and they create a community from the Alzheimer's Association or from our website and they decide to choose the Alzheimer's Association, those community members not only are participating in the helping, but they are also accessing resources and links and news and information from that nonprofit, the Alzheimer's Association. So we felt it to be a very important service and value that we could provide to our members. We do have our premier partners. There are many different ways to work with us, which we'll go into a little bit more. But our premier partners are those that we feature on our website in the community creation process, and certainly that we work very closely with, including the National Health Council, the National Family Caregivers Association, the Alzheimer's Association, Muscular Dystrophy Association, the Kidney Cancer Association, the American Lung Association, American Parkinson's Disease, Cancer Care, and our newest, two of our newest partners actually, American Brain Tumor Association and Kidney Cancer Association, and we welcome both of those groups to our program as well. So that is just a smattering of who's already participating with Lotsa Helping Hands. But let's talk a bit about the program at a high level. If you look in the center of the screen, we know that the nonprofit sector, you are all about your mission and making sure that you put programs and activities in place to support that mission. And we believe that Lotsa Helping Hands, with our focus on providing this one service for caregivers, we certainly provide that from a programmatic perspective. We know that many of you have a focus on caregiving as part of your constituency, and we believe that Lotsa Helping Hands is a tool that can be offered to your constituents in order to enhance your programs and bring value to your organizations. In addition to that, though, we've added over the years new elements to our program that include marketing and brand awareness, logo placement, and exposure through social media for our nonprofit partners. And then we also have new development opportunities. So in every nonprofit branded community in our premier program, your organization has the opportunity to include a donate button that goes right back to your donate page on your website, because we started getting emails here at Lotsa saying, we love this. This is such a wonderful experience. How do I make a donation? And we said, here's our list of nonprofit organizations. You want to make a donation to one of those. So the development opportunities are not insignificant for the nonprofits that we work with. This is a sample of what I'll call a co-branded version of Lotsa Helping Hands with a nonprofit partner, the National Family Caregivers Association. And this is the landing page. This is the first page that someone would see if they created a community from the NFCA website. There's a branding there that you can see and a welcome message that is from NFCA and Lotsa Helping Hands. Once in a community, you can see here that there's the logo up here that is branding for NFCA, but in addition to that, there's a link to caregiving resources and a link to a page that highlights support for the National Family Caregivers Association, and we'll be sharing more with you on that in a few moments. Our premier, another version of our premier program actually provides additional branding for nonprofits. And I should say in January, you'll have to check back with us because the NFCA is moving into that full brand opportunity as well in the new year. But this is an example of the Muscular Dystrophy Association that actually renamed our service, and they call it My Muscle Team, and it's powered by Lotsa Helping Hands. We provide all the support and hosting for the communities. And within the community, you can see they have the full banner at the top, their logo, as well as those resources that I was telling you about with NFCA that includes MDA resources and ways to help. And that ways to help button goes to a page that invites people to volunteer, and it also invites them to make a donation. This is in the MDA color palette and really looks and feels much more like MDA, and it's powered by Lotsa Helping Hands. This is a skeletal view of the range of customizations that are available to our nonprofit partners, everything from that header banner to the color palette to your own resource buttons and your own photos and custom sections that can be created. So we won't get into all of those today, but certainly if this is of interest, I'd be more than delighted to speak with any of you on the line and share more about how we can customize the service to meet your particular needs. So in summary, the Lotsa Helping Hands nonprofit premier program really stretches across different areas. There are many opportunities on the marketing side, from the branding on pages, press outreach that we do together. We do a lot in social media with our nonprofit partners and coordinate those efforts. In fact, every week we highlight at least one time our premier partners through social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. We also brand all those emails that I was mentioning. So if somebody signs up to bring a meal to the Smith family and gets that reminder at the footer of that email, it actually highlights the nonprofit partner. We work with you on the education side to provide education and training to your staff and volunteers who might be working directly on the front lines with families, so that they have at their fingertips the language they can use to describe your service that you're offering. We also, for many groups, host constituent webinars where we provide opportunities for educating your constituents about how they can use this free service. And then finally, on the content side, as I mentioned, nonprofits have the opportunity to push their own content in a dynamic way on a regular basis to the audiences that they serve. On the technology front, we provide 24/7 member support through email and phone. So if anybody has a problem with uploading a photo to their community, they're not going to be calling you. They reach out to us and we provide that support, and we host all the communities as well. And certainly as we upgrade the service with new features, we provide them to our partners. And we've already talked about the development benefits in terms of donations and just your exposure to potential new donors that you may not otherwise have had access to if it wasn't for the coordinator inviting a friend or neighbor or coworker to join this community. So it is an opportunity for you to expand your reach in that area as well. We are debuting this month a very robust marketing toolkit, which is available to any nonprofit organization that wants to collaborate with us, whether you want to simply include a paragraph and link to us at this point from your website under your caregiving resources section, or if you want to engage in the premier program level, we have a marketing toolkit designed for you that has examples of press releases and newsletter articles and social media messages that you can utilize and share back with your audience. And finally, we have the opportunity, as I mentioned, to get social with our nonprofit partners. We do quite a bit in the area of social media and have a very robust schedule to ensure that we are promoting the great work that our nonprofit partners are doing out there in the world. And so this is just a small smattering of the many ways that we support our nonprofit partners and provide additional exposure to our audience about the great work that you do. So that concludes the overview of the program from Lotsa Helping Hands point of view. And now I want to turn it over to Merle Weinberg, as I said, president of the National Health Council. And Merle is going to be sharing her perspective on the partnership with Lotsa Helping Hands. Merle?
Well, I want to thank you again, for the opportunity today. And I do want to provide a little bit of background about the National Health Council for those of you that are not familiar with the council. The National Health Council is a nonprofit umbrella organization, and our members are national health-related organizations and companies. Our core membership are patient advocacy organizations. A number of you are on the phone today or on the webinar. And we have about 50 patient advocacy organizations in our membership, and together we serve about 133 million people with chronic diseases and disabilities and their family caregivers. And you'll see here that our mission statement is to provide a united voice for people with chronic diseases and disabilities, and we almost always add and their family caregivers. We do not work on anything that is specific to a disease or a disability, but instead, together with all of our members, we work to find those things they share in common. And what we found is that if we work on the systemic type of issues together, then we all benefit, and we're able to move each of their missions forward, as well as that of the National Health Council. We own the phrase, putting patients first, and we're very committed to putting patients first in all that we do. One of the things that we feel is critically important is working with organizations in ways that will leverage and extend our ability to accomplish our mission, and one that we're most proud of, really, is work with Lotsa Helping Hands. So being a partner with Lotsa Helping Hands, we feel that we are able to address a lot of the needs of people living with chronic conditions and their caregivers, both family caregivers and friends and neighbors. And this is the way, as you've heard from Brooks, for our members to reach out and come to us and have individual caregivers and patients create their own community. And so they can do that through us on our website, and you've seen a couple of other examples. But we were one of the first members to really join in the Lotsa Helping Hands Premier Program, and I wanted to just share a little bit of what some of the benefits are that we've had since we've begun that partnership. So you've heard about some of the programmatic benefits that come when you partner with Lotsa Helping Hands. One of the things that we have found extremely helpful is the ability to have a really close working relationship with Lotsa's team and have them work with the staff here at the National Health Council to promote Lotsa services. Very difficult, Lotsa Helping Hands services, and then to work through a number of different channels to promote not only their work but our work. And so some of those are reaching out through social media, doing joint webinars. We've done guest blogging, and then we've also been included numerous times in Lotsa Helping Hands newsletter. So those are the kinds of things that working together, I think, certainly promotes the wonderful services of Lotsa Helping Hands, but it clearly promotes the National Health Council, our membership, and the messages and the work that we do. We have documented that right now we have 327 communities at Lotsa Helping Hands that came, that are branded National Health Council in one way or another, and more than 3,000 volunteers are participating in these private communities that people have set up. Some of the benefits to the NHC, the National Health Council, are that we're able to further promote our work and our mission and our programs in ways through our own website and through these communities. We are absolutely gaining access to new potential volunteers and advocates, and in a number of ways, if an individual is at our website, then we link them out to our member organizations, the patient advocacy organizations. We also find that it gives us additional ways where we can advocate more effectively about the needs of caregivers among our various audiences and the different communications channels that we use. We're also able to raise awareness, as I've said more than once, about the National Health Council and the different resources that we offer to a really broad audience, and the very specific work we do on policies that will help everyone that has a condition or their family caregiver to have a, hopefully, less stressful, more healthy life. So we have all of these opportunities that really weren't available to us until we partnered, and we're enjoying the premier partnership with Lotsa Helping Hands. So I guess, not to take up too much time, we wanted to encourage people to really think about, if you're not already partnering, that one way to, in a very user-friendly manner, that's quite effective, to reach out to your constituents by partnering with Lotsa Helping Hands. The feedback we get is incredible and positive, and I have to say there are a number of us on the National Health Council staff that have utilized Lotsa Helping Hands services, and everything Brooke said is true. It's quite user-friendly. We've had people sign up, and it's just been an absolute blessing. So I would encourage all of you to think seriously about either expanding your partnership or forming a partnership for the first time. So I'm going to stop there, Brooks, and then certainly later if there are questions, I'll be happy to respond.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Merle, for sharing those remarks and for the great work that you all do at the National Health Council. I know that putting patients first is a hallmark of everything that you do, and just as a person out there in the world, it's wonderful to know that your organization exists and is doing so much good for patients and their families. And I would also just want to encourage everyone on the line, although I'm sure many of you are members of the National Health Council, if you are not, I'd encourage you to take a look at their website and see the benefits that come with membership with this wonderful organization. So thank you so much for your comments this afternoon.
Thank you. You're quite welcome.
So we are going to move on to talk a bit about National Family Caregivers Month as a kickoff to Lisa Winstill, who will be walking through some of her perspective. Before we do that, I wanted to also just mention that in addition to being National Family Caregivers Month, November is also Lung Cancer Awareness Month and COPD Awareness Month. And we partner and have had a long relationship with the American Lung Association. And so we also want to just acknowledge that their great work and the resources that they provide for folks coping with lung cancer and COPD. For National Family Caregivers Month, here at Lotsa Helping Hands, being November, we got to thinking, how can we support this month? And one of the things, in addition to promoting NFCA's programs and campaign as the creator and leader of the National Family Caregivers Month effort, we also decided to launch a campaign in support of that called the Year of Helping Hands. And the reason we did it ahead of 2013 is we really believe that caregivers can't wait. There are 65 million of them in our country, and we know that they need our help. And so we launched a campaign encouraging everyone across the country to make a promise to help a caregiver. And we're calling it the Year of Helping Hands. You can go to lotshelpinghands.com/ipromise, and you can just provide us with your first name and email address, and you can offer an idea for how you promise to help a caregiver in 2013. So you could promise to make and deliver a meal, offer to pick up groceries for a working caregiver. You could offer to send them an email to NFCA's great resources, which we'll be hearing about momentarily. There are so many simple acts of helping that each of us can do to promote the needs of caregivers. And so I encourage you just to take a look at that campaign, and to the extent you want to promote it to your constituents or within your own organizations, we welcome that. We've had many promises rolling in, and we look forward to getting to an even greater number as we go through the new year. So with that, that's our effort around National Family Caregivers Month. I want to turn it now over to Lisa Winstill, who is the Chief Operating Officer of NFCA. And again, you know, we are so grateful for the pioneering efforts of NFCA, who really has put caregiving issues on the map in our country and created a dialogue for speaking up for caregivers. And this month being November, it's a really special one to welcome you, Lisa, to share with our audience this afternoon. So I'll turn it over to you.
Well, I thank you, Brooks, and we're very happy to be here. As Brooks said, it is National Family Caregivers Month, and so that's one of the first things we want to talk about. And this year's theme for National Family Caregivers Month is very simple: family caregivers matter. And we want to be able to talk and dialogue in a very public way about the many, many ways in which family caregivers matter. So if you go to the National Family Caregivers Month press kit, which is available on TypePad, it is not a public-facing press kit. It is for the field. So you all, as nonprofit organizations caring for patients and their family caregivers, I'd be happy to send you this link. But there is also a Family Caregivers Matter campaign on Facebook. And that is a place where one of our corporate sponsors is helping us to collect all of the ways in which family caregivers matter, how they matter to you, to your organization, to your constituents, and in a personal way as well. So I wanted to welcome you all to National Family Caregivers Month and Family Caregivers Matter. If you're interested, you can also access the text of the President's Proclamation for National Family Caregivers Month, which did indeed come out on November 1st. And I just wanted to take a quick moment to point out that throughout the history of National Family Caregivers Month, every sitting president, both sides of the aisle, have always written some really remarkable words in support of family caregivers. And I wanted to take a minute to talk about how it is that family caregivers find the Lotsa Helping Hands communities through NFCA. This is a shot of our homepage, and this is unfortunately not exactly where family caregivers first come. I want to encourage everybody to always look at your web stats and see when people are Googling, where do they first come to your page? And what we've found out is where they first come is our caregiver resources page. They look for caregiving resources. And if you look at the top towards the right of your screen where it says build your own circle of caring, a very, very relatively small piece of real estate on that web page, but I'm very proud to say that that small button has generated 1,757 communities supporting family caregivers with 19,300 volunteers, all participating in private communities to help family caregivers. That has been just a remarkable way for NFCA to reach out and provide actual hands-on help for family caregivers. It is something that everybody actually needs, and they need to discover how it can benefit them. So when somebody comes to the NFCA site, you'll see, we got a smaller look at this before, that there's, again, a place where they can reach out for those caregiving resources. So this is a little circular. Perhaps they came to us through caregiving resources to set up the community, but that doesn't mean that everybody who's a member of the community or even the family caregiver themselves has been to our website. Perhaps the community was set up by a caring neighbor or a child of the caregiver or their spouse. So this gives them a chance to go in and find their caregiving resources again. So that links through a landing page at Lotsa and then back to our site. And we get a lot of support again through there, because just because your neighbor is helping to care for your mom, that neighbor may also be doing some family caregiving. So this has been a remarkable way to sort of close that feedback loop. The next thing is that little button that says Support National Family Caregivers Association. I will be honest, it's not so much that we get that many donations through this, but that support button lets people see some of the testimonials. We say we are, of course, the Family Caregivers Association, but family means much more than just a familial or spousal relationship. Family can be somebody that is a member of your faith community. It can be somebody who is a member of your neighborhood, of your school community. It can be somebody who is a very close friend. It really refers to anybody for whom you feel an emotional connection and you want to help them. So that first testimonial, to me, speaks the loudest about the power of Lotsa to help. Somebody who says, I have no extended family and a scarcity of friends to turn to. But by having a community on Lotsa Helping Hands, this person has been able to reach out for help and receive the support of a community. Here are a couple of other testimonials that you can look through and read, and while you're doing that, I'm just going to say for a moment and echo something that Merle said. You know, the National Health Council is really talking about the commonalities of those with chronic diseases and disabilities. National Family Caregivers Association predominantly focuses on those common needs of family caregivers, whether it's somebody caring for a special needs child, a spouse with MS, a parent with Alzheimer's. And I would say about 80% of our message, if I was just to pick a number out of the sky, about 80% of our messages apply to all family caregivers. But there's that special 20%, because there are chronic diseases and conditions and disabilities where there are some very specific caregiving concerns. And that's where the disease-specific patient advocacy organizations can really step in and partner with NFCA and Lotsa to bring the resources that are necessary, that are specific to your constituency You fill in that 20% of that need, we'll find that 80% that speaks to the majority of the family caregivers. We've been very proud to partner with Lotsa and to be one of the very first members of the Premier Program. The dedication from Lotsa to mission and to family caregivers is really very, very genuine and organic. And we are very proud to say that we are benefiting from their expertise, and our family caregivers are definitely benefiting from this resource. If anybody who's on the call would like to visit National Family Caregivers Association, there's our website, and you can also go right to our Helping Hands communities to take a look around, and that's at nfca.lotsahelpinghands.com. So that's what I had to say, and if there are any questions, I'm here on the line to help.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lisa. And tell folks on the line, again, where they can get information about NFC Month. If they aren't already tweeting and posting messages out there in social media, where can they find that information from NFC?
If they go to our website, to thefamilycaregiver.org, and click on the National Family Caregivers Month link at the top of that page, they'll be able to get right on through. Or if anybody wants additional information, they should go ahead and send me a direct email, and I know that we've got that slide coming up with that contact information.
Wonderful. Thank you. And again, I just want to say thank you to both the National Health Council and Merle and FCA and Lisa. Those numbers are pretty astounding in terms of all of those additional folks that you all are reaching and exposing to your organization, and the great resources that each of you provide. Because as you said, Lisa, what's really fascinating is that someone might first create a community, they find it at NFCA or at Lotsa Helping Hands, and they create an NFCA branded community to support their neighbor, and then 6 months down the line they may find themselves in their own caregiving situation, and now they know, if they didn't already, they know more the breadth and depth of what resources NFCA provides. And so it really is, in our mind, again, it's that perfect match of what you all do as nonprofit organizations with your mission and being so focused on achieving your mission, coupled with a service that really is supporting, the day-to-day challenges that caregivers face. So we're delighted that you all both were able to join us, and that you were able to share your perspectives and the numbers of people that you're impacting through our partnership. So thank you.
Pleasure.
I wanted to share some reminders with folks on the line, because it may not be completely clear, but there are many different ways to work with Lotsa Helping Hands. You don't have to join our Premier Program right off the bat. There are resources involved with creating customized versions of our service for you and for your organization. So there are a lot of different ways you can work with us. You can use our marketing kit to simply cross-promote. So if you have a caregiving resource section on your website, we have a paragraph and a link that you could offer folks who visit your site and promote there. We could do a joint webinar with you and your constituents. We can collaborate with you in social media to make sure that we're promoting and are aware of the important work that you all are doing. And we provide all the support. So I just want to emphasize that as well. While we certainly look to our Premier partners to include their version of the service in newsletters and in social media, we do provide all the support. We provide the development work in terms of how your communities get created and how they look and the content. We host those communities. We provide the member support through our Member Support Center. And then we provide you with numbers, aggregate numbers of how many communities are created under your branded version. But you might consider, as I said, just linking with us first as a way to get started. We do have a resource directory that you can submit to, and in return provide a link on your site back to us. We also welcome you to share your events and resources and things that are timely. If you've got surveys that you're putting out there into the marketplace, or new events for fundraising, or if you've launched a new blog. Those are the types of things that we want to know about, because we certainly want to be able to promote that for you through our collaboration. So there are many different ways to work with us, and I would just encourage you to think about that and be in touch with us to share some of your ideas, and we can certainly dig in a little deeper and go through the questions that you might have and see what we can make work. I'm going to leave our contact information up for a moment while we open it up for questions from the group. But this is how you can reach Lotsa Helping Hands, both via our website, email, and on social media. The National Health Council is thenationalhealthcouncil.org. You can email Merle directly. That's her email address. And you can find them on Twitter at NHCouncil. With the National Family Caregivers Association, you can find them at thefamilycaregiver.org. You can email Lisa Winstell directly at the email noted there, and certainly you can follow them on Twitter at NFCA Caregivers. So I encourage you to be in touch with us as you start to think through the various opportunities for collaboration today. On your dashboard of the GoToWebinar control panel, you should see a question area. And I welcome you all the opportunity, if you'd like, to actually post a few questions for us, and I can open it up to the group to pose those answers, to provide those answers. So you can feel free to type in any question that you'd like, and we'll do our best, myself and my colleagues on the panel, to respond to them. While we wait for them to come through, we did have a few people pose questions in advance during the registration process. The first was asking about how can we work in partnership with faith-based communities to address minority health issues. And so I will certainly give that one to Merle first on the health topics. But I did want to mention that for Lotsa Helping Hands, we do have oftentimes many organizations in faith-based communities that create Lotsa Helping Hands communities to organize volunteers and promote the needs of families in faith-based communities to get organized. So communities can be used to help multiple families who might be in need and to organize that volunteer help. But Merle, is there anything you might want to add on how to work with faith-based communities to address minority health issues for the group?
Well, I would answer that based on not necessarily my current experience at the National Health Council, but prior experience for many years with different patient advocacy organizations, most recently the American Diabetes Association. And there, as well as with many of our other members now, they have created very, I would say, sophisticated programs within various communities. And so there are specific programs for the African American community, Hispanic communities, and often, especially with the African American community, those are in fact implemented through the faith community. And so, if people want to know specifically how these organizations are working with, reaching out to, and partnering with faith communities, we could certainly refer them to some of our member organizations that we know are doing that quite well. I would just say that those organizations probably could very easily partner with Lotsa Helping Hands to make the service available through the outreach of the programs that they already have in existence. And to me, that would be the most logical way to get started in a quick way and get up and running and really provide these services to those persons in those communities.
Great, thank you. Those are great comments. Lisa, did you have anything to add to that?
I would only say that going through the faith-based community is a great way to start with minority health issues, and that one of the things that we've been finding is, especially in the various Hispanic communities, is that caregiver, not only does it not exactly translate well into Spanish as a language, it doesn't necessarily translate well culturally. And we're doing a bit of a more in-depth look right now, if you will, at what can we do to make caregiving something that is recognized as more than just that's my duty as a family member, so that the caregivers can get more help. And working with some faith-based communities to help translate caregiving both culturally and in terms of language so that people can learn to reach out more for help.
Great, thank you. Another question that came in is related to U.S. veterans as caregivers, and how about using resources to support them. And I'm so glad this question came through. I can say here at Lotsa Helping Hands, we actually have a campaign underway called Help on the Home Front, and there's a webinar that you can access from our website at lotsahelpinghands.com/webinars. And in there, you will learn from different communities, actual community stories of people who have used Lotsa Helping Hands to organize for military families, whether those are families experiencing a deployment, whether it is upon arrival home and there's a wounded warrior, or whether it is a veteran who has health challenges and needs some extra help. So Lotsa Helping Hands can certainly be used to support military and veterans families. We are always working at reaching out to local organizations to continue to spread the word there, and we certainly welcome you all to consider Lotsa in that way. And I don't know if NFCA or NHC, if either of you have military and veterans programs or resources that you want to share with the group as well.
This is Merle, and I can say just quickly that we know of two of our organizational members that have specific programs in outreach. One is Easter Seals. They have some work that they're doing specifically working with the military, I think in all aspects, that I know began because of their work they were doing on brain injury and traumatic stress. So that's one organization that specifically is working with the military. Another is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I'm sure you're all aware of the incredible number of suicides occurring in the military, and so again, that's a member organization of the National Health Council that is specifically reaching out and working with the military.
Yeah, if I can just jump in, this is Lisa. NFCA has been very privileged to have been working with the VA on their new caregiver support program, and also partnering with Easter Seals. And there is a terrific website, caregiversupport.va.gov, and anybody who is working at all with caregivers supporting veterans should turn to that website. And also on that website, there's an 800 number that would connect any veteran and or their caregiving members of their family or friends to the resources in their area. There is a caregiver support coordinator in every VA center now, and a lot of new robust programs and support for all caregivers of all veterans, in addition to the new support for those post 9/11 veterans.
Great. Wow. Thank you. You all you always have so much information at your fingertips. So thank you so much for sharing both of those. The last question that I have in the registration was actually somebody interested in finding resources for caregivers in the ALS community. And I wanted to mention one of our earliest partners, a legacy organization, the ALS Association. And I think some of them might be on the line today, they too have a co-branded version of Lotsa Helping Hands that you can find at alsa.lotsahelpinghands.com or by going to their website. And they have wonderful resources for people in that community. And we know from working with them that there are chapters across the country, many of which have used Lotsa Helping Hands to organize volunteers and bring those resources from the national organization directly to the families. So I encourage you to check those out as well. And I'm not seeing any more questions rolling in on the panel here, so I'm going to just give it one more moment in case anybody poses anything, but it doesn't look like I'm seeing much. So I want to just encourage you to, you've had that slide up for a bit, so hopefully you've had a chance to jot down the contact information, and we certainly welcome you sharing your thoughts and ideas and questions that come up for you, as they often do the moment that the webinar ends. So feel free to reach back out and share with us what's on your mind so that we can be a resource for all of you out there. In closing, I just wanted to again thank Merle and Lisa from the National Health Council and the National Family Caregivers Association. And I wanted to share with you the vision that we have here at Lotsa Helping Hands. And it is a world where everyone can give and receive help through the power of community. And that's what we are truly all about. I want to thank NFCA and NHC for being part of that vision, and certainly want to thank each of you on the line today for exploring our vision further. And I really do hope that you'll be in touch with us and that we can work together in whatever way works best for you based on your organization, so that we can get these services to the caregivers who so desperately need our help. And just one more shameless plug for the Promise campaign. If you have an extra moment when you hang up for the webinar, I do encourage you to go to lotsahelpinghands.com/ipromise and make your promise today to help a caregiver, and certainly share it with others. So with that, we will conclude with my thanks on behalf of the whole team here at Lotsa Helping Hands. We look forward to sharing more with you in the future. This is the first of what we hope to be many nonprofit briefings where we showcase different nonprofits that we're working with and offer our tools and resources to new nonprofits. So please stay in touch with us, and we'll do the same with you, and we hope to see you again very soon on a future webinar. So thanks very much, everybody, and enjoy your afternoon.